Yeah, a lot of times when I study things, I get a little optimistic. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things that people do and believe that they think that if everyone else doesn't believe it and do it, then they're condemned by God. And there's some stuff in the Bible that's astrology. It describes things that have happened in the sky, but it uses, I don't know how to describe it, anthropomorphic terms. And later on, because these are old stories. And later on, in slavery, when we're disconnected from the Creator, because that Creator connection helps us discern the truth from fiction, because when we have that natural connection to the Creator open, like our eyes or ears, because it's more than a sense. It's a lot of our mind exists on that level of our consciousness, but it's just normal. It's the way we're supposed to be. But when that's disconnected, or when that is dulled or deadened, we don't understand almost anything beyond a reflexive level. And when you live in reflex, you're not knowing what causes the reflex. You're trying to interpret the reflex. When, if we're connected to the Creator, we can see the cause and effect of that reflex, because it's part of our nature to be able to see it, because that's the sight God gives us. It's the sight God gives. All the animals have a level of this. When we live, uh, it doesn't really matter. I was going to say, when we live the way that we should in our true nature, the animals look up to us, and they actually need us to be able to survive. So, because when we migrate, those of them who don't have the skill to know where to go follow us, like Moses or like Noah. But yeah, pretty much like Noah. It's like our nature has been lost over God knows how many years of slavery. And when the cultures that created slavery were wiped out, uh, our ancestors of slavery never learned to heal themselves. They kept drinking alcohol, they kept suffering, they kept causing each other suffering. They kept acting like animals. Not even like real animals either, but like what we consider animals now in our enslaved state. And in order to control others, to keep them from doing bad, uh, they made them slaves to what they call religion. And religion is supposed to be a story of our people's history with God. That's it. That's it. In order to control people, a lot more than that has been interpreted and put into religious texts. But long, long ago, we didn't have texts. We just knew, and we spoke it, and we shared it, and we interpreted it, and we adapted it to ourselves. Because no matter when we're wrong and being corrected, we don't just adopt another person's history. We adapt our history with the new knowledge. So Some people will have histories where they've gone through turmoil and others won't, and it'll reflect in their religion, because that's what religion is. Religion is a history of a people with God. Whoever they call God, it doesn't matter what they call God. God doesn't care. God does care about us and our lives, like a parent cares about a child's, their child's life. They're supposed to anyways. You can't give analogies to sociopaths, because they'll personalize it and be like, well, I don't care about my brother. Well, that's, when we're the, healthy, we do the same as every other human, just like every other animal does pretty much everything the same as every other animal, because it's how they're designed and it's how we're designed. And it's actually pretty simple. So I have a feeling that in my studying of Orthodoxy, that they'll be about as happy with me as the leadership of Israel was with me, and will remain with me, because I know too much about what everybody's doing and thinking and the truth behind it. And they're incapable of understanding it because they're in their own little world. They don't really see things from God's perspective, if they even believe in God at all. So that's what happens, when people are freed, the long and hard way. A lot of people whine and cry about their shrinking religions without ever really figuring out that they're not in a real religion. It's not their history. It's like they don't have the knowledge of what is actually happening in their Bible. What's actual history and what's astrology. And I don't mean like fantasy astrology. I mean the old term for astronomy. It's like religion. Astrology doesn't mean today what it meant back when everyone understood the truth. Religion doesn't mean today what it meant back when everyone understood the truth. you know. So astrology is just the anthropomorphization of the events that happen in the sky. Because you know, we know that everything has the Spirit of God in it. So deep down, everything is a vessel of God, like a living thing, including the objects in the sky. They move with purpose, you know, from the perspective of people who understand God, just like all things move with purpose. Cause and effect have a purpose. They're everything is doing what they're designed to do, to the point where you can understand it, because that's the way God designed it. God didn't design a fantasy world. God designed the real world, so he designed the real world for himself. He designed the real world for himself, not so he could have a puzzle to solve. It's so he could be happy as us and as all living things. God is everything, not just the creator. God is the part of us that's conscious. We're the individuality of us is an illusion, but it's part of the design of the vessel that we're in. But we don't have an individual conscience or consciousness or soul that's special, the way a lot of people think. We're the creator manifests us with the creation of our vessel, and when our vessel breaks down, we go back to the creator. And that's everything. That's everything. So yeah,